Hey everyone! A few weeks ago, I made an animation like this using a modifier in Blender 4.5. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through how to make the same animation from start to finish, including the modeling, the animation, setting up Blender to render with cycles. You can use Eevee too, creating the materials, and finishing things off with a few compositing nodes at the end. Everything we do here should work in most versions of Blender, so you should be able to follow along without any problems. Start by selecting everything in the scene and deleting it. Switch to front view, then add a UV sphere, a circle, and a camera. Select the circle and go into edit mode. Scale it up to about 15, then exit edit mode. We'll use this as a path for the camera. Select the camera. Go to Constraints and add a follow path constraint. For the target, choose Bezier circle. Next, add a tractor constraint and set the target to the sphere. To start modeling the sphere, select it and go to the Modifiers tab. Under Generate, add a decimate modifier. Switch it to planar and set the angle limit to 20 degrees. Add a wireframe modifier and set the thickness to 0.04. After that, add a subdivision surface modifier and set both the viewport and render levels to 3. Finally, right-click the sphere and set it to Shade Auto Smooth. Duplicate the sphere 2 more times, scaling each duplicate and tweaking the modifier values to add some variation. Select the first sphere and add another wireframe modifier. This time, set the thickness really small, around 0.001. We're done modeling, so now let's set up a simple animation. First, change the end frame to 500 and make sure you're on frame 1. Select the first sphere, go to the Object tab, and add a rotation keyframe by pressing I. Do the same for the other spheres. Now jump to frame 500. Rotate each sphere however you like, and set another rotation keyframe for each one. Next, split the window on the left side to create a new panel. In that new window, press 0 on the numpad to switch to camera view. Since the camera is constrained to the Bezier circle, select the Bezier circle and move it upward. Go back to frame 1 and select the camera. Go to the camera tab and add a keyframe on the focal length. Then head over to the Constraints tab and add a keyframe on the follow path offset. Now jump to the end frame. Set the offset to 100 so the camera makes a full circle and add another keyframe. After that, go back to the camera tab, change the focal length to 135, and set one more keyframe. In the viewport display settings, change the Passepartout value to 1 so we only see what the camera sees. And that's it for the animation setup. Next up, we'll move on to the final steps: render settings, materials, and a bit of light compositing. I'm going to set this up for cycles, but just so you know, this animation can also be rendered with Eevee. Go to the Render tab and change the render engine to cycles. If you have a GPU, set the device to GPU compute. Set the viewport samples to 50 and the render samples to 300. Under color management, change the look to very high contrast. Next, go to the World tab. Next to color, click the little yellow dot and choose Environment Texture. Click Open and load an HDRI. I'll leave a link in the description where you can download HDRIs for free. In the viewport, turn off the tool panel, gizmos, and overlays, then switch the viewport shading to rendered. You'll see the HDRI appear in the background, but we only want it for lighting. So to hide it, go back to the Render tab, open Film, and enable Transparent. Now we're left with just the model and no background. Select the first sphere, go to the Material tab, and create a new material. Rename it to something meaningful. For the colors, I'm using a free color palette I found online. I'll leave a link in the description. Pick your first color, then set the roughness very low and the metallic value to 1. We want all the spheres to have similar materials, just with different colors. To do that, click the little arrow next to the material name and copy the material. Select the next sphere, create a new material, paste the copied material, and just change the color using the palette. Repeat the same steps for the last sphere. Once that's done, render a still image, then close it and switch to the compositing tab. Enable use nodes and make some space to work. Add an alpha over node. Plug the image into the bottom color socket and set the top socket to a color from the palette. This will be our background. Now let's add a vignette effect just to darken or lighten the edges a bit. Add an ellipse mask node and connect a viewer node to it so you can see what you're doing while adjusting the size. Then add a blur node, change the type to fast Gaussian, and increase the blur size. Add another alpha over node. Plug the blur output into the factor input. Take the image output and plug it into the bottom image input. Set the top color to black. Now connect the final output to composite. And that's the compositing done. Go back to the layout workspace. Open the little arrow next to viewport shading, and under compositor, set it to always. Finally, render another image to check everything. If it looks good, save the file and go ahead and render the animation. And that's it for this tutorial on creating a metal orb animation. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and feel free to share your projects with me over there. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Blender tutorials. Thanks for watching.